Hi guys, cooking at home today, and it's dairy on a plate. The great thing about double baked souffles is that we can actually make them earlier and then have people arrive, and then we do the second part of the cooking while they're sitting down. Today we're using lots of things dairy. We've got some milk there which I've just brought to a simmer. We're going to make the base of a double baked souffle. Right, so first thing we're going to do, we've got a little bit of butter. We're going to put that into our pot and we're going to make a roux. Very classic. So it's basically butter and flour. We're going to cook it out until it's nice and sandy, and then we're slowly going to add the milk to make like a bechamel, and then we're going to add some grated cheese. Now this cheese is a semi-hard Australian. You can use any one. It's like a Gruyere style, I suppose. Right, so we're just going to melt our butter. You don't want it to get too hot. You definitely don't want it to brown. So if you get in there, you can just see that melting there. That's nearly melted now. Just going to add the flour. We're going to cook that out. Right, we've got our milk there that's hot. Just going to grab a ladle. Now, when you see the finished product, you think, God, this is going to be really hard to make, but it's actually not at all. It's all really just in the prep, making sure you've got everything ready, and just going bang, bang, bang. Right. You want it to be a blonde roux, what we call a blonde roux, so you don't want it to get much colour. What you can also do is actually flavour your milk. If you want to put a bay leaf in there, some cloves in there, even a little bit of nutmeg in there, it just gives it a nice flavour. We're going to make a plain one today because we're going to add some speck to it later on. Right, so just a little bit of milk, and we're just going to slowly incorporate that in and keep adding a little bit more at a time. Don't add it all at once, it's really important. You see that now, it's like a dough really. Right, yeah, a bit more. Right. Now this will make, I'd say, 4 really small souffles, but we're going to make 2 quite large ones. You know, it's pretty much a meal within itself. Now that's quite hot, so be very careful. See that? It's like a paste. Right, see that? I'm going to turn that off completely so there's no more flame on that. But while it's hot, we're going to add our cheese so it melts all the cheese through it. Right, you can see that there. You can add all that together. And that'll melt, and that'll be the base of our souffle. Now a souffle always has a base, no matter what it is, whether it's a fruit souffle or a cheese souffle. Once you've got that base, you whip some egg white, you fold it through, and then you bake it. So to give it some richness, we're actually going to add some egg yolks. We've got 5 egg yolks there, there's 5 egg whites. But if I added that to that now, it's so hot in there, it would absolutely cook the eggs. So we're going to let that cool down. And in the meantime, we're actually going to whip the egg whites. So we'll quickly grab our mixer. Got a whisk in there. And we're going to whisk our egg whites. Now, it's really important, before I turn this on, that we don't whisk them too much. We don't want to over whisk them, but we don't want to under whisk them, is where they don't have enough body in there to actually mix in through the base of it. So I'll show you where I want a nice soft peak. All right, now that is what we call a soft peak. When you actually look at it like that, and you should be able to turn it upside down, it doesn't fall out. Well, the real test is actually on your head. So that's beautiful, that's exactly what we want. Now our mix has cooled down a little bit, so we're going to add our egg yolks, but really carefully, just one by one. So just start it off, one in there, and this just gives it a lot more richness. All right, you can see that beautiful richness of that. Look at that. Now the most important thing is to make sure it's seasoned. There's no salt and pepper in there at all. So I'm just going to add some salt, a little pepper, mix it around. Right, and just try it. Oh, beautiful. All right, now what we're going to do is we've got our egg whites there. I'm slowly going to add a little bit of egg white to my souffle mix, fold it round. You don't have to be too careful with the first lot. It's the next lot that you've got to be careful with. You can see that now, it's already getting this beautiful aeration to it. Now this one, a little bit more careful. We're just going to fold it through. We want those egg whites to keep their shape, so it's nice and light when we cook it. Gently try and keep all that shape in there. You can do it in a bowl. You can see that there now. That's beautifully mixed. Nice and light, aerated. We've got our 2 moulds here, and we've got our little bath here. So a bain-marie, that's hot water just in a baking tray. It just gives it a little bit of steam while you're cooking it, and it'll puff it up. So I'm just going to grab a spoon, very carefully, just fill your moulds about 1 centimetre from the top, just to give it a bit of room to actually rise. It will rise above. Could have probably got a third out of this, but it doesn't really matter, it's only me. Put that there. Right, see those? Not quite a centimetre, they're probably a little bit fuller than I would like, but they're going to make really big, beautiful souffles. So pop them in our water, and we're just going to whack them in the oven. Done. They're going to take about 20-25 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to make the beautiful sauce that actually goes with them. So just in a pot, we're going to turn that on, and we're just going to grab a little bit of olive oil, about 30 mils. You don't want to have too much in there because you don't want it to become oily. Right, and what we're going to do is just saute off some sliced onion and some beautiful Aussie speck. So it's just going to give it the real smoky sort of flavour in this sauce. So the souffle is going to come out into that plate in the middle, and we're going to add the sauce around the outside, and then we're going to bake it again. Sprinkle some cheese over the top, bake it again, and that'll be the twice baked. It's going to take about 3 to 4 minutes just to really break down that onion. So it's really just sort of a really good sweat. See, he's come back to life, Marvin. Marvin's a cat. Don't be surprised if Marvin jumps up on the bench to see what we're doing, actually. Right, so that's now sweated. See, that's all broken down. Speck's got a little bit of colour to it. Oops. That's what we call tax. Right, add our cream. And we're just going to reduce that down. Now, in the recipe, it says to reduce the cream down and then add your grated cheese. I'm going to try something a little bit different, and you can quite easily, but I'm actually going to reduce the cream down so it's a nice sauce. But when I actually bake the souffle, I'm going to put the cheese over the top so it gets this beautiful coating over the top. But either way, I'm just changing it up, as I always do. All right, now that our sauce is thickened up, you can see that. It's got the beautiful onion and bacon in there. And that's what we're going to pour over. I'll just put that to the side. And it's been 25 minutes, and I reckon our souffles are absolutely perfect. Oh, look at that. You can see that now. Beautiful, golden brown. We probably should let them sit for about a minute, just to sort of relax and just come off that side of that souffle mould. And what we're going to do is place them into this, or one each, and then pour our sauce around, sprinkle with a little bit of cheese, and then rebake it. The great thing about these is now when you turn them out, you put them on a bit of grease proof. You can let them sit there for hours. In fact, you can put them in the fridge and bake them the next day if you really want. They won't be as fluffy as what they are now. Right, so that's rested for about a minute. That's still very, very hot. I'm just going to pick that up. Don't do that at home, please. And just very carefully, I'm just going to let it slide and put all the weight on it. You can just sort of see it just coming off that souffle mold. All the way around to make sure that it hasn't stuck anywhere. You've got to make sure you really butter those and flour those molds. And when you look at that, you can see, yes, it's going to come out. Don't want to cut the top of it off. It might be a little bit lopsided, but that's the beauty of them. Look at that. Wow. Right, I'm just going to grab the next one. Whoop. Very carefully, again, around the sides, and just let that pop out. Look at that. Yum. Now we've got our sauce. We're going to very carefully pour it all over, but make sure there is some sauce in the bottom, and this one too. Look at that. And there's heaps of dairy in that, so we're really helping the farmers. Now, I don't know whether you know, but I actually used to live on a dairy farm. I grew up on one. So very, very passionate about dairy farming and dairy farmers. They're a good mob. And what we're going to do is just whack it back in the oven, and you watch what happens. Right, 15, 20 minutes, we'll come back. Now, if the camera could only smell, because the smell in this kitchen is absolutely amazing. That beautiful melted cheese and bacon smell. Pretty good. Right, here we go. Look at that. Oh, that is unbelievable. But look how beautiful and gooey that is. You could probably feed 2 people that easily. So I'm just going to sprinkle some chives over the top. There you go, guys. My double baked souffle, my dairy dinner on a plate.